Ford has really been on a roll recently with electrifying their lineup, and now they have electrified their cargo van, introducing the all-electric etransit by Ford. This is going to be our first impressions of the etransit since we only really got a short and brief time with it, but overall we were really impressed with it. To go over pricing, the one that we drove stickered at about $55,000 before incentives. However, the etransit does start at about $50,000 before incentives. That offers a 68 kilowatt hour usable battery pack that offers 126 miles of range, and that power gets sent directly to the rear wheels, which offers 266 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. Overall, we were really impressed with the etransit, and we're excited to get into more details.
So now let's get into the exterior of the Ford e-Transit. There's so many different configurations that Ford offers for the e-Transit, but the one that we're looking at today is the low roof regular length cargo van. And we do have some optional equipment here on the e-Transit, and that includes these HID headlights and the optional fog lights as well. But we are running the standard 16-inch steel wheels with the hubcaps right here. This van is finished in just the basic exterior white color. There are different options you can choose from as well. Now, when it comes to the exterior of the e-Transit, you also have a wide range of door and window options for e-Transit. It also goes for the cargo volume here as well. There's endless possibilities when it comes to the space and customizing it and what features you're looking for in your e-Transit. So it's really nice that Ford's including that on the e-Transit line as well. But kind of walking in here to the cargo area, you have plenty of room even just in the standard configuration. But what's nice is this does include the Ford Power onboard, which is 2.4 kilowatts of power, and this is an optional equipment that you can buy. But I think it's well worth it, especially if you are outfitting this for all your jobs or using this for camping or whatever you want to use the e-Transit for. It's really great that Ford includes these options on the e-Transit and so many more. And I love that these doors open up, and they open up very, very wide so you can fit a wide range of cargo here in the e-Transit without a problem. So it's really nice that there's so many different configurations for the e-Transit and so many different options to fit your exact needs. And then even going over to the side here, this just has the standard sliding door. You can get this with glass if you want to as well. There's different options for the sliding door, but it gives you another area of access and entry into your e-Transit, into the cargo space, and it offers a good range here. There's a nice step for you to get into as well, and still offers a great amount of ease and access with the side door, which has been really helpful. So definitely appreciate all the features that Ford is including for this e-Transit as standard or as optional. Let's talk charging your e-Transit. So on a level 2 up to 48 amps, you can charge your e-Transit from 0 to 100% in about 11 hours. But if you're at a DC fast charging station, then you can charge your e-Transit at a max of 115 kilowatts from 15 to 80% in about 34 minutes.
So now let's move into the interior of the etransit. Since this is a cargo van, it does ride relatively high. However, Ford does offer a step for both the driver as well as passenger to easily get into the cabin. The cabin is a two-seater, and both of the seats are a material of dark gray vinyl. However, both driver as well as passenger seats are manually adjustable, so bear that in mind. Power seats are not an option on the etransit. The gauge cluster is a mixture of analog as well as digital gauge, and you do get a lot of storage items across the dashboard, which is really nice. One thing to note too is that the etransit does offer Ford Sync 4, which is based on a 12-inch touchscreen that offers Ford Power-Up software updates. So Ford will send over-the-air software updates to the Ford etransit to make it better over time. Now, before we get into driving impressions, let's talk about max payload, which is rated at about 3,800 pounds, and the storage space is about 246.7 cubic feet of storage. This offers a lot of room for those longer items, and in fact, we actually think it would be really cool to convert the etransit into a van for electric van life.
Before we get into driving impressions of the e-Transit, I want to talk about some of the top features that we found for the Ford e-Transit. So first I want to talk about the Ford Copilot 360 Tech. This is a basic system, so you only get things like auto high beam, forward collision warning, hill start assist, lane keeping system, pre-collision assist, and also a rear view camera. But you can option in things individually, such as 360 camera, park assist, adaptive cruise control, and advanced blind spot monitoring. So it's really cool that Ford offers a wide range of extra equipment if you want to add that to your e-Transit. Another thing I want to talk about is the Sync 4 system. So this is a 12-inch touchscreen, but what is really unique about this is the fact that it includes 3 years of Ford's Pro Intelligence system. This allows you to track your fleet, see the real-time range of each e-Transit, and you can also precondition the cabin so that way it's ready for the drivers whenever they're ready to hit the road. So it's really cool that Ford includes this, and it's a service that you can utilize on your laptop on the go. So it's really cool you can actually track your fleet and see all the real-time data of your e-Transits. One of the things that I found interesting about this data is the fact that Ford has actually leveraged this Ford Pro telematics data and found that the average daily range for commercial vans is only 74 miles. That's the total amount of range they actually drive. So which is great because the e-Transit offers 126 miles of EV range. So theoretically, you could plug in your e-Transit whenever you're done for the day driving around, and then you could have a full charge in the morning ready to go, which is really nice. Lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is the Pro Power onboard system. It says it's optional, and this cargo van, this e-Transit that we were driving, it does have that as an option. But I think it's really nice because if you need to power anything in the back, it is a 2.4 kilowatt system. But I think it's definitely worth it. You get 2 outlets, you get a 120 volt as well. So I think it's really, really worth it to get that extra power just in case you might need it for on the job. Now that we've covered some of the features of the e-Transit, let's get into driving impressions. So both Brendan and I had our own opportunity to get a chance to drive the e-Transit, but we had to go individually because we had to have somebody from Ford ride with us the entire time. But we want to give you guys a quick glimpse of our initial thoughts of the e-Transit. We only had about 15 minutes of time. We weren't able to test the payload of the vehicle while driving, but at least we can see what it's like whenever it's empty. So here are our driving impressions of the e-Transit. All right, so first impressions of the Ford e-Transit. It's kind of just like your typical cargo van, but it's electric. It's actually really smooth. You can kind of hear the pedestrian noise between 0 and 35 miles an hour. And it rides really nicely for a big cargo van such as this. But visibility is great. Obviously, in a cargo van, you have nice big windows. Acceleration and regen is really great. It's not full one pedal, but it is pretty close. But it comes on nice and strong. But yeah, I think if you have a business or you wanted to turn this into a camper van, easily could. But it's very, very comfortable. Almost at full, just a little under full, and I'm showing about 120 miles of EV range, which is pretty good for the size of this van. But yeah, so I think Ford has done a great job. I've been seeing a bunch of small businesses picking these up for their last mile runs, which I think is pretty good because you kind of want that in at least a city. But yeah, so the e-Transit, definitely check it out. Definitely take it for a test ride if you can. And they're kind of limited across the country, but you are able to pick them up. But the Sync 4 system is really nice, kind of across the board. They have it in the Lightning and the Mach-E. But yeah, there's a lot of space for 2 people and then lots of cargo in the back. So pretty impressed with this cargo wagon so far.
So we are in the e-Transit. I've never driven anything this large before, so we will see how this goes. So far, it's very quiet in here. There is a lot of room. Obviously, with such a big van cargo style, you get a lot of practicality out of it. And I'm already noticing with how big the windshield is, just the visibility is incredible. So we are going to do a acceleration test in the e-Transit. It's front wheel drive and it's 45 miles per hour. We'll punch it. And we're already at 45. So with the electric powertrain, it really does make the car more efficient, but it also does, well, I guess you can't even call this a car, a van. It makes the van more efficient and more powerful to the point where you can get up to speed, and I can only imagine how useful this is if you are hauling some heavier items. Overall, first impressions for driving the e-Transit were very impressive. I've never personally driven a cargo van before, so this was a first for me, but the fact that it delivers so much power to the rear wheels and the vehicle is relatively large, it does get up to speed relatively easily. Now, one thing to note is that the cargo portion of the van did not have any objects or any load in the back, so I'm assuming based on the weight that you add to the vehicle that may impact your performance, but if the cargo portion of the van is totally empty, there is a lot of power, so I was very impressed. Visibility is very good. It was kind of weird not having a rear view mirror to look out back, but Ford does offer a lot of cameras in that center touchscreen that does allow you to get a lot of feedback based on where you're currently sitting in the lane with your vehicle. The other thing that I do kind of wish that Ford would have introduced was a digital gauge cluster. It does have more of a analog style gauge cluster versus some of the more digital gauge clusters that we're seeing at the moment. I wish Ford would have introduced that. I think that that would have been cool, especially with this being an electrified cargo van. But overall, the e-Transit was very impressive and it was super easy to drive, especially somebody who has no experience with a vehicle that large. I was very pleased with how easy it was to figure out. Well, that's going to be it for our first impressions of the all-electric e-Transit. As you can see from here, I really enjoyed riding in the e-Transit. It was a lot of fun and it was very comfortable, especially for somebody of my stature. I definitely had a lot of room. Tyler had a lot of room as well, and it is a lot of fun. Overall, we were very impressed with it. The one thing that we do want to note, and we mentioned this earlier in the video, we think it would be really cool to take an e-Transit and convert it into an electric van for van life, for traveling the country and living out of this. It definitely has a lot of practicality, and we definitely see a lot of business picking up the e-Transit. We definitely think that this is going to be a major success for Ford. Well, if you like this video, make sure you like and share with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to the CleanTechnica YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys in the next car review.